Hey there! So for this tutorial, we're going to do a deep dive into a digital signage application. In this case, the kind of screen you would see at an airport that shows flight departure information. We're going to try to class it up a bit by evolving from what you would typically see into one that uses nice images, graphics, fonts, text in different languages, that kind of thing, to just show off some of the potential that um, you have when you're building a digital signage app. Because displaying it on Sens is really easy, you'll have some time left over to make it look pretty, especially using some CSS animations, which, as you can see, obviously had a lot of fun with. So the way the application screen works is it's actually on a little timer that cycles through 6 views. It's going to have the standard countdown in English. It's going to show the airport names in their native language. Then it's going to show some pictures from some place that you can fly to. It's going to show it in a random language, and then again in English. Then finally, it's going to go back and show the departures in English as well as a random language. So you're going to just get a feel for how that looks. There's a little bit of interactivity. Not that someone in an airport would be interacting with it, but if you are the developer and just want to see it, you can, for example, use the arrow keys to slide between different flights in the schedule, and you can use the up and down arrow keys to change the language. You'll notice that, for example, when I switch from English to French, there's just a subtle animation, but when I switch to other languages, you'll see that it changes a bit. And when we get into languages that are right to left, it's going to flip the whole interface as you would expect it to. And if you just want to see more of those pretty pictures, you can just keep hitting the OK button and it'll cycle through some places that might inspire you to get on a plane. So this is built as a full stack web app running Node.js. You can see that it's running like this, and the way I started is just by calling node server.js, so there's not very much to see there. And it's going to have a server component and a client component. So all the data here is fake. It's not from a real airport, but it is being loaded in a way that represents how it might work in the real world using REST APIs. So the server has endpoints to load the airports and the schedule, that kind of thing, and the airlines. And then the app actually fetches the data from the server as it would in a real environment. So let's dive into the code a little bit. We can start with just a couple of JSON files. You can see that we've got a list of airlines and a list of airports like that, as well as the name of all those places in different languages. Might be a good time to show you that we've got a couple of logos, both of the airlines and of the places that you can fly to. Some nice imagery there. So the code for the server is right here. It's actually fairly short. It's a pretty standard Express app that serves both an API and some static content. So we've got those list of airlines and airports that are imported from the JSON files. And then the main thing here is we create a schedule. In this case, we are just going to make a number of flights just by pulling in random data. So you'll notice that, like, you see this flight to Istanbul is operated by Turkish Airlines. We try to line those things up. So JAL flies to Fukuoka, but it's all fake. So some of these things make sense, like El Al to Tel Aviv. Some of them don't, like SAS to Kampala. I don't know if Uganda has an airline, but that's how the random schedule works. We've got a little function update remarks that creates some fake data for the status of the airlines, like closed, boarding, go to gate. That's a function of the actual time and the flight schedule departure time, just so that that looks realistic. And the way this works is the app is designed to run for a long time. So it runs that create schedule function every day, every 24 hours in this case, just to keep the data fresh so it doesn't run out. And it updates the remarks every few seconds as well. So you'll see that we have some endpoints. In this case, the ones that fetch the list of airlines and airports are just returning the static JSON data. The one that filters gets the schedule filters it for all of the flights that have not already departed. And that's about it. The only other interesting function in the server side is this one that calculates the remarks. What it basically does is it walks you through the life cycle of an airline. So, it's on time, check-in, it could be delayed, go to gate, boarding, final call, closed, departed, and done. So those are just the possible status values. That's about it for the server side. Now, the server also is just a regular web server, so it serves up the files in this public folder right here. We've got a couple of fonts. We've got this nice Arabic font called Dubai that looks fresh and modern. It's very legible. Of course, we've got the logos and the wallpaper, as you saw. You might be wondering a bit about how some of those CSS animations work. So this one sort of fades in like that and then fades out, and then we can scroll sideways, and you've also seen the fades when the text changes, which can be subtle. So the way we do that is using CSS animations. I didn't even know what those were until I started this project, but I am totally loving them. Basically, you can just specify the keyframes and which CSS properties you want to change. Like dissolve in changes the scale, the blur, and the opacity all smoothly, and that renders super well on Senza. So we do similar things for fading out, the slides back and forth, etc. So that's just a little bit about how the animations work. You just kind of specify it like that. So let's dive into the HTML. There's not much to see here. We have one div because really everything is done by JavaScript in our single page app. So here's what the client code looks like. As you can see, it runs in a variety of languages. So when the app starts up, it loads the data that's static, and then it loads the schedule, and then every minute or so it loads the schedule again just to keep it fresh. It creates the table, and then it changes which page we're looking at on a little loop. The nice thing about the way this is built is you'll see that it's designed to have a CSS animation for 1 second, and then it holds still for about 6 seconds. So the way Senza works, it can optimize the video delivery where if there are no pixels changing on the screen, it uses variable frame rate to avoid sending information unnecessarily. So you get the best of both worlds. You get those beautiful animations when you want them, but you're not using a lot of bandwidth when you don't need to. So let's dive a little deeper into some of those functions. Loading data, this is nothing crazy. Only thing slightly crazy here is the way we call await await. The reason we're doing that is because we're using asynchronous JavaScript at first to call fetch. Don't need anything complicated to do that. And then another asynchronous function that parses the JSON. So that's how we load the airlines and the airports. Loading the schedule is about the same, and we just sort of bucket those into a couple of pages. It's just a simple HTML table that's created entirely programmatically. And we preload a couple of images. Other than that, nothing too crazy. I've got a little header row there. You'll note that we do use some translations. So here in this strings file, for words like departures and flight, we've got those in a couple different languages. And then we've got a function that calculates the flight data, just all the things that you would want in that row. Create row creates the table row, nothing very exciting there. And for the wallpaper, we try to do something where, for example, here in Oslo, we did it in Japanese, but I'm just going to hit return a couple times. And you can see a little bit how it tries to display those. So that's kind of fun. We basically pick one of the flights that's on the screen to show the picture. So again, let's go through the flow. Here is everything in English. Here's the native names of those same airports, and one of those 10 or so is going to be on the next page as the featured flight. In this case, we are going to, I believe that is Rio. Don't speak Japanese. There we go, exactly. And then that's going to fade out. I could just watch this all day, to be honest. Here's everything in Korean. So it says Rio de Janeiro. I can read that. And then finally in English, and on to the next page. Again, I could really just watch this all day. So here's how some of the animation stuff works, and a few little helper functions, and a standard key listener. You've seen that before on Senza. As you saw, the left and right arrow keys move between pages, and the up and down change between languages. So that's how that works. And this is basically how the carousel works. You saw how there are those 6 pages in the flow. So as we advance through these, we just cycle through each of the 6 pages, which are defined by these functions. So set laying English just switches it to English. Then we go on and do it in a different language. Then we show the image in a random language. Then we show the same image with the city name in English. And then show a random language in the whole table, and then back to English, and then on to the next page. So that is about it for the way the app is implemented. We can have a quick look at some of the ways in which we are deploying it. So you'll notice that this is a Node.js app, so we can't just upload that to a web server and hope it's going to work. It has to be hosted somewhere. You'll notice towards the very end of our developer documentation, there's a little page on deploying Node.js apps. If you click on this one as an example of how to do it in Google Cloud, I didn't try to explain this because these folks over at Hacker Noon have already done a great job of doing that. So just follow those instructions. I got this up and running in just a couple of minutes. This is what the Google Cloud Console looks like. There's actually not a lot of buttons you need to click on here. There's not much to do. It doesn't show you that it's working. It just kind of works auto magically. but you run some terminal commands, you upload it, and your Node script just keeps running forever. And I have never had a problem with it. It's been running for months. So that's pretty amazing. And if you want to see the same thing running in Senza, we've got a little redirect here from Senza Dev. And just go ahead and click connect. And then you can see the same user interface as before running on Senza. So it's pretty normal to do your development in a regular web browser, and as long as it fits in a full HD frame, you can be pretty confident that it's going to run as you expect it to when it's running on the Senza platform. So all of those CSS animations are optimized by the GPU in the cloud, which is why they run so smoothly. And it basically just displays as a video. So again, I can hit the OK button to see one of those graphics coming in. I've been there. Been there. I'd love to go there. You get the idea. Not all the fonts are... So this has the fonts for all the apps, all the languages that are supported by the app, but some of those local airports, in that case, Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, we don't have an Amharic font because we're running on Linux here. So just a note that if you want all the fonts to look good, it is important to think about making sure that you import them using CSS. But pretty easy to take care of that. So that's about it for the demo. Hope you have enjoyed watching. I hope this inspires you to take some flights to some of those places, and good luck designing some digital signage on the Senza platform. Take it easy.